Hi everyone, my name is Krista Ceccolini and this is a walkthrough for my course Media and Current Events and how I designed it and how I structured the course. So this course was a completely asynchronous course, meaning I did not have any virtual classes. Students did all the work 100% online on their own. So it is a little bit different. Some of you may be teaching virtual classes in which you're structuring your classes in a different way. But I'm going to walk through how I structured this particular course. So my idea behind the design of this course was to be as simple and straightforward as possible. Some of you may know that my role before joining the hub was academic success advisor for JAX. So through that role, I was able to get a lot of feedback from students regarding some of the struggles that they had in their courses, and in particular online courses. One common feedback that I received from students is that they easily were confused with Moodle shells that look different, right? So obviously if you have different teachers, they're going to design their Moodle shells a little bit differently. But students really struggled with trying to find information. So I wanted to make sure that anything that I put on Moodle was very easily, they were very easily able to find it. And they knew that there was a similar structure from week to week. So when you land on the Moodle page here, you'll see that there's my contact information. You'll see announcements here. So this section I used quite frequently to send announcements to students every single week about the tasks that they had to do that particular week. What's great with announcements is that an email gets sent to students, but there's also a copy of that email that's archived here. So if students ever need to go back, they can go back to the announcement section and see what was going on for that particular week. If we look at week one, the way that I structured my course was that students were given new content every Tuesday at around noon. So that's when I would release new content for the week. And they had from Tuesday at noon until the following Monday at midnight to complete their work for that week. And they usually had a little bit of an application activity, a very small kind of, a little bit of work to do for that particular week. So they knew what to expect. So if they went to, for instance, this review the due dates document, they knew that every single one of their due dates was always on a Monday, right? Monday at 11:59 p.m., Monday at 11:59 p.m. So there was never any surprises. So they were able to better keep track of their course in that way. Within the first week, they had the weekly guide. They knew about netiquette. There was a learner preference survey, so I wanted to know what their preferences were as learners. Were they visual? Were they auditory? What did they need from me? An intro video that I included, and then an introduction Padlet. So what I did here was, instead of doing a forum, I had an introduction Padlet where they were able to write a little bit something about themselves. They could create a video if they wanted to, but this was a way that they could really kind of come together and share their ideas rather than use a forum. You can also use a forum as well. I included a video about how to use Padlet here. There's also another way of doing this where you can embed your Padlet directly into Moodle. So that's another way that you can do it. In terms of the actual structure and the content of my course, I liked to use Nearpod. I thought Nearpod for this particular course was very, very useful because I was able to just create PowerPoints separate from Nearpod, download them directly into Nearpod, and then embed interactive activities. So in terms of workflow, it was very, very simple to do. So I'll give you an example of what I did here, and then you can embed your Nearpod directly into your Moodle. So when you click on this page, I've embedded a Nearpod lesson directly into Moodle, and look, you can full screen here. So if I were the student, I would have my name, I would join lesson, and then here you would be into my lesson. I've included voiceovers for every single slide. What I really enjoyed about voiceovers rather than doing a full video is that in my next delivery, so when I taught this course again a following semester, I was able to switch out just certain slide recordings rather than having to record an entirely new video. So in terms of time saving, that was huge. So you'll see here that you can embed different activities. So this was an activity that I usually embedded right at the beginning of my lesson, which was a brainstorming activity, kind of like Padlet. In this particular example, we were talking about television news. So I was asking students to think about their first major news story that they can remember watching on television. So you can see here that 9/11, for a lot of them, that was like the big thing. I included a personal example for myself, right? Mine was when Princess Diana died when I was about 10 years old. So just being able to ask a question like that before we dive into content can be really useful for students. So then there's more content with voiceovers. What's really cool is you can embed video directly into Nearpod. You can also include open-ended questions with a video. So in this particular activity, they had to watch this video about Walter Cronkite and the JFK assassination, and then they needed to write their answer to that particular question. So the flow of the course was always the same. Students would complete their Nearpod activities. If they did that, they received a bonus mark on their application activity for that week. I included my slides with my my notes at the bottom. So that was my transcripts, because that's the only thing that I don't like about Nearpod is you can't have an actual transcript or captions to your voiceovers. They usually had a reading of some sort, and the reading information was always on their quizzes. And then they had an application activity. So this was the structure from week to week. Of course, the content changed and some of the activities changed, but they could anticipate that every single week the course was structured in this way. One last thing, I'm a very strong believer in student feedback. So, you know, we as faculty, we try to design courses that are in the best interests of our students, but at the same time, we're not the students. So receiving timely feedback is very important in terms of making changes to your course to better improve the experience that your students are having, and also maybe to reaffirm things that you're doing that are actually working and that they enjoy, right? So it's not always negative. One aspect to feedback is when it comes to course evaluations that we do through the college, is that we often don't receive that feedback until well into the other semester. So it's really hard to kind of make changes based on that feedback. So what I do, I did this in week 6, is I created a feedback form using Microsoft Forms. And so by week 6, it was a little bit halfway through the semester, and I asked them just very, very simple questions. So what do you enjoy about this course so far? What do you dislike about this course so far? And what suggestions do you have to improve this course? All the answers are anonymous, and I actually received some really, really awesome feedback, stuff that I didn't even think about that I was able to change right away to improve that student experience. So that's an overview of my course. Again, there's a bunch of different ways that you can structure your online course. This is what I found worked best for me, both in terms of student engagement and in terms of saving time when it came to lesson prep.